And thank you for coming, especially from a very far place, friends, and thank you for those who prepare, the food also. And I would also thank to some of our friends who also clean this one, including our dear friend, one of the staff of LTS. And we clean it, there's a bit of smell, and that's why we switch on the fan, to dry away those bad smell. And thank you so much for this opportunity. And today, I would like to really speak on this John 15. I will title maybe something like relation. Okay? Before I do this, I'd like to give you a theological reason. Before I go to points of thought, okay? I will have in the point of thought, I will have 3 topics, okay? 3 points. But before that, I would like to deal with theological reason why we do this. Jesus said, I am the true vine. And in verse 5, he said, I am the vine, you are the branches. When Jesus speaks of this vine, and the Jewish people in the first century Palestine, and especially to his disciples, who are so acquainted with the biblical teachings on the Old Testament about the vine, Israel was taken as the vine in the Old Testament. And if you read in Isaiah and Jeremiah and Hosea, you will see how this Israel as a nation was symbolized by this tree called vine, and yet they turn out to be a white one, a degenerate one, and a useless, empty vine at the end. And prophets after prophets, they complain about this vine. Israel, you fail. Israel, you fail as a nation. So when Jesus said to his disciples and Jewish people at his time, when he said, I am the true vine, first, he identified himself with Israel. And he said, he is the Israel, and he is now the true vine. And now he's going to represent Israel, the whole nation, as the people. And he's not going to fail this time. He's not going to fail God, nor even Israel as a nation. He's not going to fail anyone. He said, I am the true vine. Some of us, according to John, John liked to think of this always in terms of cosmic, universe, so the whole people. And he said, in the beginning was the Word, and this Word was, Jesus, and dwelling among us. And he is so fond of dealing with Jesus saying something like, I am saying. In the John Gospel, you will see 7 sayings of I am, Jesus. And this one, I am, is the last and the 7th final great saying. And of course, in his thought, he might have been thinking of Exodus 3, where God said to Moses that when Moses asked, Israel people will ask me, what is the name of the God that, you are representing to us and to Pharaoh? And God told him, my name is I am who I am. And this, the theme of I am, is running now in the mind of the author as well as the whole book of the John Gospel. So when John was talking about I am, he's also recalling this I am statement of the Old Testament, where Yahweh identified himself as the I am. So we can see Jesus as representing or identifying himself with us, human being, the failure, the weak, the sinner, the poor, the stubborn, the disobedient, like all of us today. Jesus identified today himself with us right now. And yet he said, I'm going to be the true vine. Now, I'm not going to fail God. I'm not going to fail you. There's representation, identification. And that's one meaning. Another meaning, as I said, has related with the I am statement. I am a good shepherd. I am the living water. I am all these things. And then now here comes, I am the true vine. And then he said, this I am, this identification is something that God himself initiated. He initiated that we all can become once again related to God. We should remember the Garden of Eden. That which was related was broken because of man, because of mankind. And now, because of Jesus, this is restored. And this I am is somehow is a revelation. He say, I am the Yahweh in flesh. I am the true God in flesh, in person. So we can see this is a kind of revelation. Jesus is revealing himself as a God, Yahweh, right now. He identified with us, with our sins, our failures, and everything. That's why in Hebrews said he is sympathetic. He understands our struggles. That's why he is meaningfully praying for us in heaven. And at the same time, he revealed who God is. He said, I am the Yahweh in person. These two bring us to what I'm going to draw your attention to this morning. Points of thoughts. Why? We are related to God. Regardless of whether we are aware or not. In Burmese, I will say something like, this is inheritance. You are entitled to, even though you are not aware. This relationship with God is something that we all are entitled to, even though we do not want to acknowledge it sometimes. And sometimes we refuse to acknowledge it, and we don't care. It's something that maybe we are not aware, maybe we refuse to acknowledge, and we don't care, but reality, we are related to God. We inherit the unmerited, something that we do not deserve, something that we do not make up, inherited yet divinely initiated relationship. So the challenge for us is we are to consciously learn to rejoice in this relationship. It's very important. Imagine you are a prince or princess. You are Ishimega. But you are not aware. You are too young. You are too small. You are not aware. Or too stubborn. Or too ignorant. And you are not aware. And yet, this reality, you are going to inherit the relationship, the possession, all this. And this time, we should consciously learn to rejoice in this relationship. Let's rejoice in this relationship. Today and tomorrow. And next days. When we do the kitchen work, we should remind of this relationship. When we clear this, we should remind of this relationship. Unconsciously or consciously, we must learn this time. Rejoicing in the relationship that we are entitled as God's children. That's why I'm not pursuing you to Presbyterianism. In our Presbyterian, we baptize the infants, the babies. Why? They don't have to confess Jesus, my Lord and my Savior. Automatically, they are entitled to this relationship. This is the reality. We all are related to God. He's the vine. We are the branches. Okay, second. Oh, there's still a lot of time. Second, we are related to what? What do you think?
Jesus.
Very true. I mean, it's included in God. Very true. Now we are related to one another as the branches of the same and the only vine. We must not forget we are the branches of one and the only tree called vine. We are the branches. Therefore, automatically, we are related to one another. No matter how much, sometimes, we might want to distance from one another. You know, I'm also guilty of, wanting to distance myself from my friends. Especially some of you. Sometimes I want to distance myself from this guy, this man, and this group. No matter how much we want. Sometimes we want to become, honestly, I want to become something, a gas. Gas, something easily evaporated and gone. Sometimes I think of this group, not this group, this group is lovely, but the other group, the group in my mind. I want to become a gas and evaporate, gone right away. Hopefully to heaven. Sometimes we are like that. We are related to one another, no matter how much we might want to distance from one another. So it is crucial, and it is also costly, that we consider how to stir up love and acts of love among us. Hebrew tells us, I like to read this one. It's almost like Bible study. Forgive me, I would like to read this one. It's a very good reminder. Okay? Hebrews 10. Hebrews 10, verse 24. Let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds. It's very important. Spur up. Basically stimulate. Let's consider how can I stimulate this one, or this one, and this one to love and to act in love. To act in love. And sometimes, most of the time, what we consider when we meet our friends is not to stimulate love and good deeds, but to threaten him, but to look down, or maybe, but to, I don't know, to make him unhappy maybe, uncomfortable maybe. We do not consider how to stir up, how to stimulate love and good deeds among us. It is crucial, it is costly that we consider, we think how we can stimulate one another to do good, to love as well. This day you have been, of course, so aware about the missing flight, jet 370, passenger 239 on board. And recently, maybe yesterday, I think that is CNN and BBC giving us a little bit of hope. But today is the last day. Tomorrow is the black box battery is gone. They are racing against the time right now. And how many flights, aircrafts and ships are involved there? 13 ships. From Australia, China, US, UK, and France. Not to mention other Philippines and other in previous times, today. And 10 military planes and 2 civil aircraft. 13 ships from those big, powerful countries. They do not count. They are not too much concerned about the cost right now. They are doing it because of one thing. We are human. We are related to one another. Even they do not confess like theologically like us. But they are doing this just because we are human. Just because we are related. They forget the disputes over the islands. They forget the disputes, disagreement over the economy system. And now they focus on doing this. It is important today that we are also aware that we are related to one another as the branches of the same and the only one. Third, this is a very interesting one. We are related to what? Every other creation of God. Okay? When I mean every other creation, mean anything non-human, any living non-human. We are related to every other creation of God, despite all the obvious differences we may observe. You know, so different from human being and tree. And yet, my boss writing on a dissertation on a tree, or ecology, which is represented a tree. How close we are! And if she's going to graduate, she's graduating with this dissertation on environment, ecology, tree. And my friend also has, something he holds very dear to himself, with a cross, with a lotus-shaped cross.
Yes.
Maybe after service. Okay? And how close we are. How close we are to non-human beings. Last year I get injured in my ankle here during the play. And I have to use a stick to go up and down, to eat and sleep. I had to use it. And I reflected again that situation and realized how dependent I was and how dependent I should be to non-human beings as well. And about this, of course, airplane, the missing one, I was having a conversation with my friend John in our room. We stay together. He was telling me, Thomas, whenever I take bus, I'm not afraid. I'm okay. I don't pray. I don't need to pray. But whenever I fly with this air, I fly by the air. Consciously I end up praying. And give me the reason why. So we were talking about, and the conclusion was something like that. Because you and I, made from the dust, according to the Bible, from the earth, you and I cannot be so far from the earth. Once you go further from the earth, you get frightened, scared, even up to death. You're so scared to death. What you can do is, you end up in praying. You end up in asking. You end up in being dependent. After all. That's true. At least that's spiritual, it's true. You don't believe me? Go up and climb the tree. After 5 feet, you will be scared. It's like that. Okay? That's how related, actually, existentially we are to other things. So today, let's be thankful. Let's be thankful that we are related to God. Even though we are not aware sometimes, even though we want to refuse it, even though we don't want to acknowledge that in our reality, we are related to God. And we should rather learn to rejoice in this relationship. Second, we are related to one another as the branches of the same law, the same reality. Sometimes we might want to do so many things just to stay apart from each other or forget each other sometimes. But, it's crucial and important that we rather consider how to stimulate one another to love and to do good. As our theme this year is to see the opportunity to do good. And we are also related to every other creation of God. And it's really crucial and even urgent today that we take a good care of anything under our control. Where? The water, the fire, the things we have, the process, the books, the computer, everything. If we think all this are related to God, and we will misuse them. If we think all this related to us and to God, and somehow and somewhere, then we will less likely take advantage of all this and not misuse it. Today I pray that my prayer is God will grant us His grace so that we will live fully dependent upon Him, not separated from Him, and thereby bearing fruit, more fruit, and much fruit in this life and the life to come.